Hello, welcome back to the Ask Dr. Be Good, where we try to shine positive light on the neat things that are going on in public education today. And one of the things that we're preparing for are the holidays. And during the holidays, which I'm sure in kids' minds are never long enough, which is 2 weeks, the dreaded 2 weeks in some parents' minds, is how to stay healthy during those 2 weeks. Not only healthy in body, but in mind and in soul. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to ask help from our nurse medic, Cynthia Ferguson, and even hear from our nutritionalist, Michelle Neustadt, to better know and understand why we need to focus in, even during those short 2 weeks, on making sure our kids stay healthy. So let's talk. We're going to start with some facts that I think everyone needs to know. They're not necessarily comfortable facts, but I think we all need to be aware of them. And so we're going to start with obesity facts. In the United States, the percentage of children and adolescents affected by obesity has more than tripled since the 1970s. Data from the 15-16 school year show that nearly 1 in 5 school-age children and young people, 6 to 19, in the United States has obesity. So many factors contribute to childhood obesity, including genetics, metabolism, and which is how your body changes food and oxygen into the energy it can use, community and neighborhood design and safety, short sleep duration, and eating and physical activity behaviors. Let's touch on a couple of these. Genetics we can't do much about, but what we can do is understand that some of our genetics lends a propensity towards a certain illness if we don't watch our diet, if we don't increase our physical activity. Our metabolism is impacted by what we eat, by how much we exercise, and so forth. And then the community and neighborhood design and safety. What is that? Think about it. For those of you lucky enough to live in a neighborhood that is set up with playgrounds and parks and walking and bike trails, and you actually use them, that is a very healthy community and neighborhood design. It's designed for families. It's designed to help families stay healthy together. But we do have communities in our towns that are not designed that way. Matter of fact, when we put in for a playground grant back 6 years ago for our Dallas location, we were going to be, and were, when we got the grant, the only playground within a 5-mile radius of that school. So you can imagine not being able to quickly walk to a park, walk to a playground to exercise your kids after dinner or on the weekends, and how hard that is. So being in a community, in a neighborhood that is designed for playing and for safety is not something that everybody has. So sleep. None of us really probably understand the true medical need for good sleeping habits. And that's something we need to get better at as adults and as children. A lot of times I see families making sure that the younger kids in the family have a good sleep structure, but that tends to wane later on as the kids get into 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. We tend to start letting them stay up later. We tend to let them stay up much later during the holidays, and that starts making inroads into a lack of structure, which then leads to lack of sleep, which then leads to very grumpy kids. And so one of the things to keep in mind during the holidays is a good sleep structure for all ages, including adults, right? Okay, and then eating and physical behavior, which we'll talk more about. Now, this information comes from the Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention. So this is clearly a well-researched, well-respected site that has believable facts. It says that the CDC defines overweight in children and young people as a BMI at or above the 85th percentile and less than 95th percentile for young people at the same age and sex. And so really the BMI is something that we're using to not only measure adults, but now using to measure children as well. So one of the things that we need to stay cognizant of is that changes in the environments where young people spend their time, like homes, schools, and community settings, can make it easier to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Schools can adopt policies and practices that help young people eat more fruits and vegetables, get at least 60 minutes of physical activity daily, and eat fewer foods and beverages that are high in added sugars or solid fats. And just to reinforce that, we're going to hear from Michelle, our lunch nutritionalist, to underscore that very thing.
Here at Legacy Charter Academy, our philosophy is healthy food creates healthy scholars, and healthy scholars are more prepared to learn and grow. The USDA has strict guidelines on what can be in a school lunch. At Legacy, we take this just a little bit further. We try to provide healthy foods with limited salt, sugar, preservatives, artificial colors, and flavorings. By the beginning of next year, we hope to have a salad bar set up in all of our campuses, and we want to continue to introduce the scholars to new and healthy foods and try to cultivate healthy habits that will last a lifetime.
Thank you, Michelle, for that. So one of the things that we are really working hard at is trying to get salad bars set up, which is harder than what you would think. Salad bars, first of all, the setting of the salad bar is expensive. It costs several $1,000s to outfit 3 schools with that. So we are on a grant to hopefully get us enough money to have that for the fall. And so we're working very solidly towards that. And one of the transition things that we've done is to add salads to our menu 3 times a week, I believe it is, and helping kids move in that direction to get exposed to salads on a more frequent basis so that they will choose that more often. I will tell you one of the sort of funny things that we've learned from the very beginning is our kinders were one of our most eager salad takers until we figured out that they were only taking the salad so they could dip the bread things in the ranch dressing. So our children always train us in how to work with them better. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about childhood obesity and child well-being. Children with obesity are at a higher risk of having other chronic health conditions and diseases that influence physical health. These include asthma, sleep apnea, bone and joint problems, type 2 diabetes, and risk factors for heart disease. Children with obesity are bullied and teased more than their normal weight peers and are more likely to suffer from social isolation, depression, and lower self-esteem. In the long term, a child with obesity is more likely to have obesity as an adult issue. All adults with obesity have a higher risk of developing heart disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and many types of cancer. So as you can see, it really is wise to get our children having good, healthy food habits and exercise habits now so that it leads to a more healthy adult. So let's talk about what the trend that we're seeing now as far as obesity in kids and where that's leading, and that is diabetes in children. This is the FDA Consumer Health Information, which is a government agency, and it helps us know the facts around the impact that obesity is having on our children. An estimated 1 in 6 children and teens is obese, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that we just referred to earlier. And along with family history of diabetes, being overweight and inactive are the main risk factors for type 2 diabetes. The 2 main types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2, are treatable, and that's with changes in diet and a healthier lifestyle. Treatments can control blood sugar and prevent or delay long-term complications of diabetes. The FDA-approved treatments for both type 1 and type 2 diabetes are all about keeping the blood sugar, which is glucose levels, in a normal range. And we do that a lot of times through, you got it, through what we eat and how much we exercise. Type 2 diabetes is most often diagnosed in children starting at 12 or 13, because in children, the disease tends to get worse in puberty when the body produces hormones that makes insulin less effective. Insulin is the hormone that controls blood sugar levels. The first line of treatment is a healthy diet and other lifestyle changes. If a child is overweight or obese, losing weight and increasing physical activity can help lower blood sugar. Ask the pediatrician if your child is a healthy weight or needs to lose weight. And children and adolescents should do at least 1 hour of physical activity each day, according to the federal government's 2008 Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans. Now, we try to help with this at Legacy by having 2 recesses a day, if we possibly can, with the weather being what it is, too hot, too cold, too rainy. But we also ask that teachers do in-classroom activities when they can't go outside. We also have PE for it's mandatory for K-5. I believe we have it for K-8 so that we can do the activity, because we know how hard it is sometimes, especially for our older students, to want to get away from their devices. So we do ask that our master schedules include extra PE for our older students. Type 2 diabetes may be controlled with diet and exercise for a while, sometimes for years, but the disease is progressive and medication will be needed later in the majority of patients if they don't continue to control their diet and continue with strong exercise. Type 1 diabetes is a little bit stronger, and type 1 diabetes accounts for almost all diabetes in children younger than 10, and it is also on the rise in U.S. children and adolescents. Formerly called juvenile diabetes, type 1 occurs when the body's immune system destroys the insulin-making cells in the pancreas. Researchers are still investigating the causes of the diabetes. For children with type 1 diabetes, multiple injections of insulin are needed every day to keep the blood sugar in check. And as some of you know, we have nurses and nurse medics on our campuses ready to help with those injections. And indeed, we do have children at each of our locations who require injections of insulin either before or after lunch. So we're very used to that. Matter of fact, we've gotten kids from other schools without a nurse or a nurse medic because of us being able to help with the insulin injections. So what can happen with high blood sugar is that over time it can lead to devastating health problems, including heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, nerve damage, loss of toes or feet, digestive problems, blindness, gum problems, and loss of teeth. What am I doing? Am I scaring you a little bit? Well, okay. Let's just remember that the American diet is a diet right now that is not helping always keep our kids as healthy as it should. And we're going to talk more about that. But let me give you a few more rates in case I haven't scared you enough. And rates of new diagnosed cases of type 1 and type 2 diabetes are on the rise. This is from the National Institute of Health among children and teens. So rates of new diagnosed cases of type 1 and type 2 diabetes are increasing among youth in the United States. According to a report, incidence trends of type 1 and type 2 diabetes amongst youths in 2002 to 2012, published today in the New England Journal of Medicine. In the United States, 29.1 million people are living with diagnosed or undiagnosed diabetes, and about 208,000 people younger than 20 are living with diagnosed diabetes. So this study is the first ever to estimate trends in the new diagnosed cases of type 1, type 2 diabetes in youth, those under the age of 20, from 5 major racial ethnic groups in the United States: non-Hispanic whites, non-Hispanic blacks, Hispanics, Asian American, Pacific Islanders, and Native Americans. Okay, let's see. So the National Institute of Health, NIH, found that from 2002 to 2012, the incident or rate of new diagnosed cases of type 1 diabetes in youth increased about 1.8% each year. According to the same period, the rate of new diagnosed cases for type 2 diabetes increased even more quickly at 4.8%. The study included 11,244 youths ages let's see, ages 10 to 19. Because of the early age onset and longer diabetes duration, youth are at risk for developing diabetes-related complications at a younger age. This profoundly lessens their quality of life, shortens their life expectancy, and increases healthcare costs. So, key diabetic findings from the report: across all racial ethnic groups, the rate of new diagnosed cases of type 1 diabetes increased more annually from 2003 to 2012 in males than in females, ages 0 to 19. Among youth ages 0 to 19, the rate of new diagnosed cases of type 1 diabetes increased most sharply in Hispanic youth, a 4.2% annual increase. In non-Hispanic blacks, the rate increased in type 1 to 2.2%, and in non-Hispanic whites, 1.2%. Among youth ages 10 to 19, the rate of new diagnosed cases of type 2 diabetes rose most sharply in Native Americans, 8.9%, Asian American Pacific Islanders, 8.5%, and non-Hispanic blacks, 6.3%. Among youth ages 10 to 19, the rate of new diagnosed cases of type 2 diabetes increased 3.1% among Hispanics. The smallest increase was seen by whites, 0.6%. The rate of new diagnosed cases of type 2 diabetes rose much more sharply in females, 5.2%, than in males, 3.7%, in ages 10 to 19. So the causes of this is unclear, although doctors are speculating it's the lack of exercise and their diet. So now that we have talked a little bit about why it's so important to make sure that we are staying healthy, not only during the holidays, but of course all year, but to put the focus on during the holidays because they're home with you and we want to help you and we want to support you, moms and dads out there, when they're home. We're going to give you some ideas. And one of the people that's going to help us with that is nurse medic Cynthia Ferguson, who has lots of strategies in what to do over the next 2 weeks.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Ferguson. I am the school medic at Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy in Plano. I'd like to take a few minutes to go over a few topics for our winter break. A couple of the topics are going to be health, nutrition, and safety. This time of year, we receive a lot of goodies. We receive candy, cakes, cookies, all kinds of goodies. And although we are thankful for those, our bodies are not always thankful in the long run. So maybe if parents, if you can keep fruit in plain view for the children to see, and maybe give them their sweets whenever you feel is the appropriate time, but having the healthier snacks available, easily available, will be helpful. Maybe fruits, granola bars. If they want the chips, maybe baked chips instead of the regular chips. These are just a few suggestions. You can always Google a few more healthier, quick snacks that you could do to have available for your child. Exercise. Exercising our body and mind. With our body, maybe taking walks. Take a walk with your family, walk your dog, go to the malls and walk the malls. You know, all the people are out right now, the lights are out, all the Christmas stuff is out. Maybe just taking a walk that way. Dancing. Dancing is always fun. You can dance to music, you can Google dance videos. There's lots of videos out there free that you can download to dance to. You can do it with family, friends. Make it a family fun night. Make it a competition. Maybe you can win a prize, whoever dances the best. Those are just a couple of little suggestions. And as for our mind, we want to exercise our mind as well. Reading, board games, maybe go to the local library. You can contact your local library to find out what kind of free events they have. When you go to the library, check out a book, maybe write about the book that you've read. There's lots of different activities that you can do through the library. Just check the listings of your library to see what they have available. Then as far as volunteering, that one is a big one for me. I think volunteering is very important. whether it's volunteering at a local shelter, volunteering to help your next door neighbor go get the mail if it's too cold for them. Do something. It makes you feel good, but it's also helping them in something that they may need. So just keep in mind, this is the time of year that we want to be nice to people and help them. We want to do that throughout the year, but this time of year just kind of brings it out a little bit more. Another item is, this time of year is flu season, cold season. We want to watch out for all the germs that are around. Make sure you keep your hands clean. Wash your hands with soap and water. I suggest that you wash your hands with soap and water, singing the ABCs, not once but twice. It makes sure that you're getting your hands clean. And then the proper way to cough. If you're not too sure the proper way to cough or sneeze, instead of coughing or sneezing into your hand, because then you touch everything else, you spread germs, cough into your sleeve, cough into your jacket. That will help prevent the spread of germs. Another item that I'd like to touch on is fire safety. This one is a big one for this time of year because we have so many electronics plugged in. We have our Christmas tree on, we have candles, we have heaters, we have our phones plugged in, and a lot of times we sleep with our charger plugged in our phone, and these are some safety hazards. Be mindful of these things. Make sure, parents, that you are making sure that your smoke detectors are that the battery is in there and that they are working properly. If you don't know how to do this, you can always contact your local fire department and they will come out and check them for you free of charge. Just check with your local city fire department and talk to them, and they can do that. Make sure that we're having fun over the Christmas break, but keep in mind your health, your body exercise, your mind exercise, fire safety, health safety, and let's have fun. So remember, good eating, good exercise equals good grades. So we'll see you back in January. Y'all have a good break.
Thank you, Miss Ferguson. You said in a short period of time, what's taking me a little bit longer to say. She talked about things that I hadn't even thought of. So thank you for those additional reminders on how to stay healthy, which is even as far as checking the batteries on your smoke detectors. And as far as volunteering, if you would like a quick volunteer opportunity, you can always go to the North Texas Food Bank website. You can sign up there to volunteer. They take whole families. I think check with them. It may be even as young as 10 can go. So please, if you're looking for a family feel good, that would be it. One of the things I wanted to remind you about a default that a lot of us tend to do during the holidays is going to a fast food restaurant. You know, we're out shopping, we're trying to do those last minute Christmas gifts, and we've got kids that get grumpy because they haven't eaten since breakfast, and all of a sudden we see a Chick-fil-A or a McDonald's and we say, oh, that's going to be our go-to real fast. I want to see if I can dissuade you from having that as your default. Maybe, well, let's talk a little bit about why that shouldn't be a default. While it's commendable that many fast food restaurants like McDonald's have made an effort to add healthier fare to their menus, they still can't deny that much of their foods are fried and full of hidden sugars and other additives. And those are just the ingredients they purposefully add to the food. When you consider that usually you're getting also a side of antibiotics and other foreign substances used to raise the animals or food that you're eating, you're basically getting a bundle of junk, sometimes in every meal. For example, antibiotics are used in poultry farming, usually concentrated animal feeding operations, which is called a CAFO, both as a preventative and therapeutic medicine for treating or preventing illness for animals. Likewise, beef operations use antibiotics to alter the gut flora in an attempt to improve nutrient utilization or increase weight gain and the amount of meat per animal. What this adds up to is that fast food is a calorie dense and loaded with chemical additives that increase your risk for obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, stroke, and heart disease. So the bottom line is, according to epidemiology professor Tim Spector, even eating a relatively small number of highly processed ingredients is toxic to your gut microbiome, which start to die off just a few days after eating a fast food heavy diet, and suggesting excess weight calories from the fast food may not be the only factor to blame for the rising weight. On top of that, many fast foods contain other ingredients that compromise your health, including extra servings of endocrine disrupting chemicals that are linked to sexual dysfunction, reduced IQ in children, early or delayed puberty, and allergies, to name a few. And I will tell you that we have actually had cases of one of our female students as early as first grade who got her period. Yes, first grade. And the doctor attributed that to eating the hormones and so forth that's in the foods that one gets in fast food. So that was a sobering reminder to me that that's a very good reason to stay away from fast foods. So what can we do? How can we stay healthy during the holidays? Well, we can be active with family and friends. Sedentary activities such as sitting on the couch watching sports are common during holiday traditions for many families, but that does contribute to weight gain, especially when lounging around is accompanied by eating excess amounts of food. Doing some type of physical activity while on holiday with your family may be proving to be beneficial for weight control and for family dynamics. Yes, the family that plays together stays together. So be smart when snacking. During the holiday season, unhealthy snacks like cookies and other goodies tend to be available for your children to take. It would be better if we leave those out of view, and when the kids are hungry and need a snack, opt for real foods. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds are filling snacks that don't contain the added sugars or unhealthy fats, both that can lead to an unhealthy weight gain. Watch your portion sizes. Guess what? Those who eat larger than recommended portions tend to gain weight more easily than those who don't. No more about that, right? Mindful eating. This is a new term that I'm seeing more and more, that we need to practice mindful eating. So what is that? Mindful eating. People are often rushed and on the go through the holiday season, which frequently leads to multitasking during meals. Studies show that those who eat while distracted are more than likely to overeat. That's because they're unable to pay attention to their body's fullness signals. So many times, and I see that those kids who are using their devices while eating, they're not paying attention to their body's signals. So to prevent this from happening, eat mindfully without distractions, including electronics, and let's try talking to each other. How about having a family rule of no electronics at the table? Another way to mindfully eat is to encourage your kids to chew their food thoroughly, which allows them to better recognize their body's signals of fullness and to consume fuller calories. And that studies show that those who engage in mindful eating practices are less likely to gain weight. Get plenty of sleep. We've heard that before, right? This is coming out in different and from different sources. Sleep deprivation is quite common during the holidays, and it may cause weight gain in kids and adults. This is because those who do not sleep enough tend to be hungrier, consume more calories, and get less physical activity. The reason behind this is that sleep restriction may increase your hunger hormone levels, ultimately leading to higher calorie intake. And additionally, inadequate sleep has been linked to lower metabolism. This is believed to be due to the alterations in your circadian rhythm, which is known as the biological clock that regulates many bodily functions. So you're seeing that science plays a huge part in staying healthy. And I encourage you to get to know more about the science of staying healthy. Maybe study it with your kids so that you can work together to come up with a healthy plan during the holidays. Just some other reminders. Let's keep the meals balanced with protein. Holiday meals are typically rich in carbs but lack protein, so we need to include proteins which builds muscle. And eating protein with meals may automatically reduce calorie intake. Protein is also beneficial for weight control because it increases your metabolism and the levels of appetite-reducing hormones. And for those weight management benefits, you should include at least 25 to 30 grams of protein with each meal. Some good sources of protein include meat, which is grass-fed meat, poultry, and fish that's wild-caught, some plant foods like beans and quinoa, and making sure that you have legumes as part of your everyday diet. Fiber, kids need to focus on fiber just as much as the adults do. So making sure that adults, we help our kids focus on fiber is an important part of, I think, your work in training our kids to be healthier adults. Let's see, so some fiber-rich foods such as vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds as part of their meals would be a good way to increase their fiber. Bring a healthy dish to share to the holiday party and have your child help you with that holiday dish so that they create, and what they create, they're more likely to eat. Broccoli with a Parmesan topping, asparagus, grilled asparagus with a seasoned olive oil. Oh, maybe I'm pushing it when I say roasted Brussels sprouts, which I love, but that may be not kid-friendly enough. But that's all part of them and being in training. Limit liquid calories, which is juice, sodas, and other sweetened beverages, sweetened tea. Let's limit those because those are calories we don't need. And let me see. Avoid processed foods. And I'm going to go a step further. What does processed food look like? I Googled the worst foods for kids, and guess what I got? You're not going to like this. So you're going to have to think of ways that you can transition away from some of these foods, and it could be one at a time. Don't wince too badly, but here are the worst foods for kids. Chicken nuggets. Yep, chicken nuggets, because it's really all the leftover processed meats going into a bundle and then surrounded by some flour and fried. Another one is boxed mac and cheese. It has lots of yellow dye in there, not healthy. Soda. Soda needs to become a 4-letter word in the family. Hot dogs. If you have to have hot dogs, there are the uncured hot dogs that are less processed. They're all processed, but less bad. Cereal, breakfast cereal. There's just no good breakfast cereal, folks. There just isn't. Fruit snacks. Fruit snacks are all sugar. French fries, especially French fries in fast food places, they put sugar in their French fries before they fry them. And they fry them in canola and vegetable oil, which are all GMO. So you need to try to transition away from those oils. Crackers, processed food, goldfish and Cheez-Its. I know you're wincing. The orange dye again. All empty calories. Lunchables, high sodium, all processed. In the Lunchable, the meat is processed, the cheese is processed, the crackers are processed. No good. Nothing comes good about Lunchables, except for the convenience factor, but we don't want that to be what's okay with kids. And we've already banned in our school flaming Cheetos and Monster drinks. They just, especially the Monster drinks, have proven to be very bad for the heart. So I know that I have been a little tough in this podcast, but if you will try to find the healthy theme, and that is try to move towards a healthier type of diet. We've given several examples of what a healthier whole food diet looks like. Lots more exercise. Do it as a family. Go together to the park. Even if you have to drive to a park, go there and walk, bike, play soccer, do fun things. But get outside and exercise more. And just be more strategic in your your thought around food and what your kids are eating. So if you have any more questions about how to stay healthy during the holidays, I'm happy to answer them or get the answers from our nutritionists and our new nurse medics. Thank you again.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ask Dr. Be Good show. For more information on Legacy Preparatory Charter Schools, visit our website, legacypca.com, or call 469-249-1099. And remember to like us on Facebook, where we stream live weekly Tuesdays at 3 p.m.